In this edition of Southern Newsweek, the PSA steps in as Compass Group prepares to take over the kitchen at Dunedin Hospital. A Dunedin apprentice strikes gold as he beats hundreds of competitors from around New Zealand and Australia. And the end of World War I is commemorated 100 years on as Armistice Day services are held. Kia ora, I'm Holly Buchanan. Union representatives are speaking out about a scheme to cut down on kitchen staff at Dunedin Hospital. Compass Group is taking over duties at the hospital kitchen, which involves cutting staff and trucking in meals. And that's got union leaders asking questions.
The paperwork. This local public service association organiser is going through a submission to Compass Group over its kitchen changes at Dunedin Hospital.
Essentially they become a contractor of the hospital and they're now going to provide the food services for the entire district. So that's everywhere from Dunedin all the way to Invercargill out to Queenstown.
The new operation's expected to save the Southern District Health Board nearly $7 million over the next 15 years. But the savings mean a 20% cut in kitchen staff. Some have been working at the hospital for more than 30 years.
There's going to be job losses, essentially, and also a change to the way they work. There'll be a lot less food cooked on site. It'll be brought in and then reheated and delivered. But also even the way they interact with the wards and patients will change.
The union's helping staff with the transition, making sure they're taken care of under their new employer. Morton claims Compass has been muddying the waters, making it hard for staff to understand what's going on and whose jobs are on the line.
They don't seem to know how to deal with staff in this situation. They don't know what transparency means. They don't know what engagement means. They don't know how to work with the union in a positive, constructive way. No. The information is like trying to pull teeth.
Compass took over kitchen duties at the hospital last month and is looking at redundancies. The company's consulting with staff and in the meantime won't make further comment. Union reps are planning to lodge their submission on the case next week. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
The fire service is investigating a blaze which tore through a building at Tyree College yesterday afternoon. The fire broke out in the school hall, rendering it unusable. It means a year of construction is to be followed by more builders on site. Assessing the damage. The principal of Tyree College is looking around the wreckage from yesterday's fire that ruined the school hall.
Sunday afternoon, about 3:10, fire alarms went off, smoke billowing from the top of the hall, and as you can see behind us, that's the result of that. So, we've had a significant fire inside our hall. I think it's sort of about 3 or 4 hours to get it under control as well.
Crews from 9 appliances worked into the night, containing the blaze, which shattered windows and burnt out the interior. The building was used as a storage facility and all contents have been ruined.
We've got hundreds of sports uniforms up in smoke. Our drama equipment has all gone. And I don't know how you put a price on costumes of drama, which has been collected for years and years.
Tyree College just opened 3 brand new buildings a week ago, following a year of construction. That project was worth $4.2 million. Hunter says it's good to finally have builders off site, but eventually he hopes they'll need to return to replace the wrecked hall.
Knock it over and build us a new one would be wonderful. We don't want to rush into anything because we want to build something that's going to be worthwhile and useful for us. My concern is, that nothing happens for a while and we're sitting with this shell for X amount of time.
The fire isn't being treated as suspicious, although hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property has been lost. It's a waiting game now for Tyree College, with the ball in the Ministry of Education's court. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
A budding Dunedin mechanic has become the first New Zealander to win a prestigious Apprentice award. The 20-year-old beat more than 300 entrants from across New Zealand and Australia. And the recognition has the young car fanatic thinking ahead to what's next.
Year-old automotive mechanic Benjamin Fretwell is this year's winner of an Australasian Apprentice of the Year award. He's the first Kiwi to win the award in its 7-year history. The wins come as a surprise, with Fretwell feeling overwhelmed to have even been selected as a finalist.
That was enough for me, finding out that I was the only Kiwi to make it into the top 20, that was, just real humbling, and I was, just quite happy with myself,
He was inspired to enter the competition after tasting success locally. Earlier in the year, he won the Otago Motor Trade Association's Apprentice of the Year award. The accolades are proving he's on the right career path.
I've always loved tinkering with things, so it was kind of a given, all through school. I thought I'd come out and do something like this, so yeah.
Industry experts chose Fretwell for this latest win after rigorously checking references with his boss and former teachers. The intensive process saw him come away as the best of the best in Australasia.
It's a very big deal for Ben because they don't give this away lightly. Over 300 applicants, which is the most Snap-on New Zealand Australia have had in the 7-year history, and a rigorous testing process, so he's done very well.
His prize package includes a state-of-the-art tool set and is valued at $12,500. But it's the award itself that he sees as having the most value.
To me it means everything, but it is. I guess it's quite recognisable, especially on the CV and a few other things like that. It's quite, Snap-on's a very well-known franchise. So.
He's planning more automotive study down the line, but for now his focus is on completing his apprenticeship at Mosgiel Towing and Mechanical. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
And the city is still hot with royal fever as hundreds of people recently turned out to see Prince Charles and his wife Camilla. The couple have completed a brief but busy tour of the city, and those who waited to catch a glimpse of the regal pair were rewarded for their patience.
Arriving to a standing ovation, the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall were welcomed to the city by several hundred excited royal fans. Dunedin was the first South Island stop on the pair's national tour. It was a visit many in the crowd were eager not to miss.
I've seen Wills and Catherine, we saw them as well. So, it's just nice to keep up with tradition.
We just got word, we're like, this is so awesome, so we want to come down here and see, what was going on.
I love to see them when they come to our country, so it's a very special moment.
It's really awesome to see because it's like seeing a celebrity, like a Hollywood movie star.
Police officers were peppered throughout the crowd and its surrounds. But the pair's railway station stop was relatively drama-free, with officers keeping an eye on a small protest group, although Prince Charles ended up addressing a controversial topic.
I hope you told our Prime Minister we don't want to change our flag.
I don't know. Is that what you think?
The Prince and Duchess slowly made their way to Toitu Otago Settlers Museum, where they were welcomed in traditional Māori style. Their visit was a short one, with the pair scheduled to attend events around the city. The royal couple didn't stop for media interviews, instead taking the time to talk with the public. They'll spend the rest of the day in Dunedin ahead of the one scheduled rest stop on their 6-day itinerary. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Dozens of residents have been commemorating the end of World War I. They've attended local services to mark the signing of an armistice at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month. And although it was a century ago, the occasion is still resonating with people of all generations.
Marking an iconic day in war history. Locals have been remembering the day World War I ended with the signing of an armistice.
It's an opportunity to pause and reflect on the futility of war, and that the First World War certainly was a horrific battle, and a lot of people died unnecessarily.
The howitzer cannon at the cenotaph was fired at 11 a.m. in commemoration of Kiwi soldiers. At the same time, people in the Octagon heard the firing of the Robbie Burns cannon. Although not many Great War veterans are still alive, many residents have been honouring their service as loved ones and comrades.
I was in the Second World War, so I always come here on Remembrance Day.
We're down here to pay respects and remembrance from my father and my father-in-law, who were both in France during the First World War.
My grandfathers, who were both in the First World War, partly because it's been a tradition in our family that we continue to remember.
Almost 60,000 Kiwis were injured or killed in the First World War, which began just over 100 years ago. RSA members believe Armistice Day is still relevant as New Zealand's participation in the war contributed to democracy.
We normally commemorate Anzac Day because of in April, but this one we commemorate the end of hostilities, and that's what it's important to remember.
Today's main service ended with songs from local choirs involving children. It was a poignant way for the city's youngest generation to be participating in a historic occasion. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, a fast charger for electric vehicles is earmarked for the city, and it's likely to be very cost effective. And thousands turn out to drink and celebrate the humble beer. Welcome back. A local company is planning to install the South Island's first rapid charger for electric vehicles in Dunedin. Delta is applying to the City Council for resource consent to establish the public charging station. And the small number of residents with electric cars isn't seen as a deterrent.
Infrastructure company Delta is in the process of setting up a public electric vehicle charger in a car park space in Falloul Street. It's lodged a consent application with the City Council to install the rapid charger, which will only just be bigger than a petrol pump.
Obviously it's got to go through the planning process, it's got to make, and the planners obviously need to make sure that all fully complies with the Dunedin City Plan and District Plan, etc. But yeah, look, we're really optimistic and hopefully we'll have it in place before Christmas.
The charger will be free for residents to use in the first year. There are less than 20 registered electric vehicles in Otago and around 800 nationwide. They only make up a small percentage of vehicles on the road, but the number's expected to grow.
We think that electric vehicles will certainly become more and more of the vehicle mix for the transport fleet of New Zealand. Over time, there's more and more manufacturers bringing new models into New Zealand.
Currently, Europe and Japan are the two countries making the most use of electric vehicles. But Delta believes New Zealand's in an ideal position to benefit from the technology.
New Zealand's in a really privileged position, being 80% renewable energy generation with our vast wealth of hydro generation and wind and also geothermal. So there's also a really good story to tell from a New Zealand Inc. perspective in terms of 80% renewable generation, then being able to convert to potentially 80% of our transport fleet.
The charge is likely to cost about $50,000. Cameron says it's worth it to publicly promote electric cars and support their use. Delta's hoping to lead the way and has an electric car on order. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Healthy homemade food has been a welcome treat for some local preschoolers as part of a National Oral Health Day project. Pupils from Tyree College prepared and delivered morning tea to a neighbouring early childhood centre for the occasion, and they learned some valuable lessons in the process.
Chowing down in the healthiest of ways. Preschoolers at the Green Street Early Learning Centre have been enjoying a special morning tea. It was made and delivered by hospitality pupils from the neighbouring Tyree College for National Oral Health Day.
Hopefully they learn that it's easy to make healthy choices and it can still be fun for them, like building a pitcher, and we got them to do the fruit kebabs themselves and like making a little noughts and cross grid out of their carrots and tomatoes, just making it fun.
The initiative was organised by the Southern District Health Board. Oral health promoters chose Tyree College and Green Street because they're within a non-fluoridated area. They're aiming to get students thinking about food in relation to oral health, exploring nutrition and interacting with youngsters.
There certainly is a need to improve the oral health of children in New Zealand, and that's what we're working towards through education, educating parents and children about eating healthy, eating right for your teeth and for your bodies, and sticking away from the sugary drinks and sweets and choosing plain milk and water.
Tyree pupils are also benefiting from the experience, learning about improving the condition of their own teeth.
We learnt lots of things like eating raisins and things. They should be eaten with the meal instead of separate from the meal, because the extra sugar isn't really good for your teeth during the times when it's not a meal, because it will get stuck in your teeth.
The theme for this year's Oral Health Day is Switch to Water, encouraging people to ditch sugary drinks for healthier alternatives. It's all part of ongoing efforts to ensure future generations of Kiwis have more to smile about. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
Thousands of craft beer enthusiasts have had their taste buds stimulated at a local festival. Just over 5,000 punters attended the Otago University Students Association event. But it wasn't only about celebrating beer.
Standard scarfy weekend rituals. These punters are making the most of the annual beer festival with fun and games, and they're getting a safe environment to do it in.
Essentially it's a celebration of good beer and good food and wine and cider and a few other things in between, like good music, got the Black Seeds, and it's really bringing together the Dunedin people as well as a number of people from outside Dunedin and students as well.
36 breweries from all over the country set up stalls at Forsyth Bar Stadium, with 7 local crafters also taking part. The University of Otago event is part of a scheme to create a rapport within the city and give punters the opportunity to enjoy quality beer.
Goals include kind of building stakeholder relationships with the city and with the community. That's been well achieved, as well as just educating people around alcohol and around quality over quantity. Come here, enjoy a few beers, don't come here and drink a lot.
The festival offered food and drinks, music, games and seminars with international guests. This is the 3rd year the event has been held and its success is growing.
This year it's proven to be very successful. The numbers are higher than anticipated. We have over 5,000 people in there, which is absolutely fantastic, and because of that I think it's cemented the event as something kind of iconic in Dunedin, and it's just going to grow and grow. The
Beer Festival was set up to celebrate the end of year for students, and with big local engagement is proven to be more than just a university event. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
And just ahead on Southern Newsweek, physical challenges are just part of the game for participants in our national tournament, and 2 award-winning radio stars put the feelers out for a 3rd person to join their show. Welcome back. People from all over the country are in the city competing in a national bowling tournament. The Disabled Bowls Championship event is seeing competitors take to the green over 4 days, and they're not letting physical quirks get in the way.
Bowling for national victory. These competitors are aiming for a title in the New Zealand Disabled Bowls Championships. People with all sorts of disabilities are taking part, including amputees, paraplegics and some with brain injuries.
There are people that play bowls for clubs throughout New Zealand, and we just thought we'd get them together as a group and we could have our own national team and our own tournaments.
Horn's from Lower Hutt and has been bowling for nearly 40 years. He goes by the name of Hooks and says having a disability doesn't diminish an athlete's talent.
We don't let it get in the way. I mean, I've been playing bowls unfortunately for 37 years and I don't go out and ask any favours and don't get given any either, and sometimes it inspires people to play harder because they think, I'm not going to lose to that bugger, he's got no hands and no feet.
This is the first time the annual event has been held in Dunedin since it started in 2005. It began after a discussion among disabled bowlers keen on creating their own contests instead of just competing against able-bodied players.
It's a tournament that we started approximately 10 years ago with a bunch of people came to Wellington to a tournament, and we formed a group called New Zealand Disabled Lawn Bowlers, people with all sorts of disabilities.
The competition is running over the weekend with titles available for singles, pairs and triples. Players are hoping their dedication to the sport gives them an even footing on the green. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
Concern about the plight of bees is sparking a surge of interest in local backyard beekeeping. Pesticides and mites are threatening bee populations, which is prompting politicians to call for change. And residents are also being encouraged to help.
An age-old hobby that's still got people buzzing. Beekeepers from around the city have been meeting once a month to discuss all things bee-related. One topic on the agenda has been the increasing level of interest from locals, eager to try their hand with a hive.
It's very popular. A lot of people are interested in the concept of bees, and I think what it does is to get people in touch with nature directly, and people get very emotional about bees.
Bee populations have been declining in recent years due to varroa mite infestations and the use of some pesticides. That's prompting the Green Party to ask for a ban on certain chemicals which are lethal to bees. It's an issue that's also on the minds of local beekeepers.
There are some big problems that we can see coming in beekeeping, and one of them is the treatment of varroa and the medications that are being used. The bees or the varroa may become resistant to, and those are the sort of things we're looking into the future on and going to make some plans for management.
Locally, beekeeping is becoming increasingly popular as a hobby. Bee-friendly gardens are springing up around the city, including one led by the council. The focus on bee care rather than commercial gain is pleasing members of the Dunedin Beekeepers Club.
As hobby beekeepers, we're having a totally different approach, which is looking after bees, looking after their health and their role in our society. And they do some pollination, but it's not the main reason that they're here.
They say it's easy for people to help in protecting and growing the local bee population. Starting small is recommended by planting colourful flowers to attract bees. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Local children have been parading their creativity in Port Chalmers. Dozens of West Harbour preschoolers and primary pupils have been involved in an arts program organised by a charitable trust. It's given them a chance to be recognised for something other than academic ability.
Making music in a new way. West Harbour children have been showing their peers and parents a performance piece 1 week in the making. It's a yearly event aimed at celebrating and emphasising the benefits of getting children involved in artistic pursuits.
The arts are sort of slowly taking second importance. So I think it's really important that children actually have lots of opportunities to express themselves. Not all children are going to be academic, and there's some very creative children in this area, and this gives them a chance to actually to shine.
The performance was the result of children spending a week learning music with artist-in-residence Levity Beat. He was brought down from Golden Bay by the West Harbour Arts Charitable Trust for the project. For school pupils, it was a busy few days of hard work getting ready for the parade and show.
We did it like till Wednesday to Friday, and we keep practicing, and that's how we got into it.
Participating kids were involved in collecting recycled materials and turning them into instruments. The idea behind the artist-led project was to encourage inventiveness and entrepreneurship from a young age.
I hope that that all the kids I work with end up looking around a bit more and thinking about what things might already be there that they can use to invent something. It doesn't have to necessarily be a musical instrument, but it'd be great if it was, because I enjoy that.
He's hoping the experience will inspire some of the participating children to continue making music. And Trust members are expecting that'll lead to a more vibrant, creative community. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
And finally, 2 local children with a knack for broadcasting have taken top honours at Otago Access Radio's Biennial Awards. Their youth-focused show was chosen by judges above dozens of other programs on the station. And now they're looking for someone new to join in their success.
On air with 2 of the city's youngest broadcasters. Jaden Jasudis and Daniel Tucker are the voices behind weekly radio show Global Kids New Zealand on Otago Access Radio. Their hard work over the past few years is paying off, with the pair winning the station's top volunteer award. It's an honour that's left them feeling overwhelmed.
Boom! Yeah, I was amazed when they said, so the winner is going to win $150 and the Supreme Award. My heart instantly started racing, and then they called out Global Kids and I was ecstatic.
The sentiment is shared by his co-host.
We feel really humbled, I guess, and it's just amazing. And I just can't believe that we won the Supreme Award, and I'm still fuzzing. Man, it's just amazing.
11-year-old Jaden started the radio program 3 years ago after being convinced by his mum to give it a try. After about a year going it alone, he brought in 12-year-old Daniel, who had no hesitation in signing on as co-host.
When you hear about More FM and stuff, like it's so cool, you know, because they play all their music and talk about cool stuff. And I actually did want to start my own radio show because, you know, it would be real cool talking about your interests and having guests.
The boys are dedicated to continuing their show in the foreseeable future, but aren't sure about a career in broadcasting just yet. Their boss is enjoying having them on air for as long as they see fit.
These guys are just the epitome of access radio, really, that they're making a fantastic program. They're taking a whole lot of care about what they want to talk about, and it's big stuff.
Now the boys are looking for a female co-host to diversify the show. They're also thinking about how to defend their title at the next awards in 2017. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
And that's all for this edition of Southern Newsweek. Please do visit our website, dunedintv.co.nz, where you can download Southern Newsweek and watch individual clips of 39 Dunedin News or webcast the show. I'm Holly Buchanan. Thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.